Southeastern Conference Whip Around, sponsored by AT&T.
Certainly Auburn at LSU looks like a key game in the SEC West standings, but the big concern for Auburn is what to do with starting quarterback Jeremy Johnson. This is a guy who's really not shown that much through 2 games. He's thrown 5 interceptions, and you could tell Auburn didn't really trust him to throw the ball down the stretch last week against Jacksonville State. They will obviously be going into a hornet's nest down in Death Valley, and that LSU defense, which did a great job limiting Dak Prescott for most of 3 quarters last weekend in Starkville.
Alabama opens SEC play Saturday against Ole Miss in a top 25 matchup. Jacob Coker seems to be settling in at quarterback, but can he improve to 3-0 as a starter against the only team to beat the Crimson Tide in SEC play last season?
Well, for Texas A&M right now, this is all about gaining confidence in that new defense under John Chavis. And of course, the 2-quarterback system, using Kyle Allen as your initial starting quarterback and then bringing in Kyler Murray, the speedy freshman, as a change of pace guy. Their schedule's pretty easy at this point. They've got Nevada at home, should be another raucous crowd at Kyle Field, but it's all about continuing to develop that identity and that aggressive defense that they showed in the first weekend against Arizona State.
Tennessee takes on Western Carolina this week in the Vols' final tune-up before SEC play begins the week of September 26th against Florida. The Vols find themselves in desperate need of a win after a devastating double overtime loss to Oklahoma. This game will be an important bounce-back game for Tennessee quarterback Josh Dobbs, who struggled in last week's game against Oklahoma. Should be as good of an opportunity as the Vols have all season to build confidence before SEC play begins.
Well, Missouri got a nice test last weekend, having to come back on the road against Arkansas State. The key point in that game, Barry Odom's defense only allowed 37 yards in the second half, and that is something to watch going forward. Odom is one of the outstanding young defensive coaches in the country. Going up this weekend against another great defensive coach in UConn's Bob Diaco. Should be a low-scoring, tight game. UConn is certainly improving, but they don't have enough to handle Missouri in Columbia this weekend.
After a disappointing loss to Kentucky, South Carolina now has an even bigger battle as they have to go to Athens next Saturday to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Steve Spurrier loves going to Athens. He's had a lot of success against the Bulldogs, but this may be his biggest challenge in years, trying to beat a highly regarded Georgia team with this South Carolina team that he has this year.
Southeastern Conference Whip Around, sponsored by AT&T.